All right. I think we're ready to go. I want to start by thanking our organizations that brought tabling stuff for you. Thanks for being here, everybody. Feeding back. Still feeding back. Yes. Back here. Oh, I just turned it off. Did I turn it off? No. Okay. Exactly. There we go. Is that better? Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
The ring is on? All right, thank you. Hi, I'm Lori. I'm from the Women's Resource and Action Center, and I've been involved in this event for quite a while. I was thanking our organizations for tabling with us this year. They represent a lot of really great services and groups on campus, so please, if you haven't already checked them out, well, I don't know how many of them will still be here at the end, but if they are, please go over and say hi. And I also want to thank Hale and Robin for providing sign language interpretation. Thank you. And the committee members. So this is kind of especially this year, kind of a volunteer opportunity that people do sometimes as part of their jobs and sometimes outside of their jobs. And so those of us who come together to make this happen, we have a pretty good time with each other, but we're really dedicated to this. And so I want to ask all of the folks on the committee to please stand. Without everyone's help. And so we're going to get started here. So welcome again to this. I was trying to figure out how many years we've been doing this. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe since here's the background. This started in, I think, 1982. Was that the first Jane Weiss did? So the first award that we gave as a campus from the women's community, particularly from the Women's Studies program in those days, was the Jane Weiss Dissertation Award, and Jane died tragically in 1981, and dissertation award was created in her honor, and that was it for a number of years. And I think in 1992, the Jean Y. Jew Women's Rights Award was given for the first time, and various other awards have been added on over the years since then. So this has become, a stellar event over the years, and there are, I didn't plan for this, but I know there are a number of people here who have won the various awards, and I would like to acknowledge you if you are here. Who's won? Is anybody won the dissertation award? Are there any Jane Weiss winners? The new one. Yes, we will recognize you. How about the Jane Jew Award? I know there are several of you here. Where'd you guys go? There's a couple there. Anybody else? I'm one. Thank you. The Distinguished Achievement for Faculty. Teresa, just you? Anybody else? No? Oh, there you are. I thought you were one. Marcella, David over there. Distinguished Achievement for Staff. The Sue Buckley Award, in other words. Kari Mason there. Am I hitting all of them? Stop there for now. So it's a long and storied history, and I'm very proud to be among the group of folks who have been recognized, and many of them have been my mentors and role models and community here at the University of Iowa. So thank all of you for the work that you have done to deserve this recognition. Given that the long story history, I think this is a particularly poignant year. I feel like I don't need to fill in the details about why, but we've seen the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion shuttered, and that has been our home base for a number of years. And so actually the celebration is floating freely in the university universe right now, as the DEI office and also the Council on the Status of Women has been stripped of its official status on campus too. I would say I believe they are still meeting as a event is a little bit uncertain. I suspect this may be the last time that we do it in this form. I'm not gonna say it's the last time it's gonna happen, because I think a number of us, nodding enthusiastically there, are determined to keep doing it, and on some level, and so I don't think this will stop. So while the future of the event is uncertain, the importance of the work and recognizing the work that our recipients have done has become more important than ever. And we will not allow it to be erased or forgotten as long as we continue to tell the stories. And that's the important thing for me today and every year, is to hear these stories from the amazing work that people are doing, from their dissertation research to their activism to their faculty work. It's just, it never ceases to be inspiring. So I'm going to add that we don't place any restrictions on anything anyone wants to say. So their words are their own, and they are welcome to speak their truth here to us today. So now for the main event. We're going to start with our opening remarks from Lastasia. I checked before I started. I should have written it down. Lastasia Coleman is a clinical associate professor in the University of Iowa Carver College of Medicine, where she provides patient care and teaches medical students and residents in OBGYN. She's also the director of the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics Nurse Midwifery Program. She's a fellow of the American College of Nurse Midwives and was a research fellow on their national workforce study. She's currently a PhD candidate in the College of Public Health, studying the relationship between health insurance and reproductive health outcomes. Please join me in welcoming.
All right, I'm a little bit taller. Can everybody hear me? Okay, sounds good. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by thanking the Planning Committee for their warm invitation to speak today. In preparation for my speech this afternoon, I spent a lot of time thinking about my approach. In a time when chaos is rampant, I hope that we can share a few moments of honesty and clarity today. I want to acknowledge a few things before I dive in. This is a difficult time for many people for a multitude of reasons. Many of the things I have dedicated my life to are under attack, and I know the same is true for many of you. Your careers may be in jeopardy due to threats of funding cuts, challenges directed at your subject matter expertise, or concerns about safety for yourself or the people you love. This may perhaps be the last time we gather together in this manner for the foreseeable future. The significance of this moment is not lost on me. With all that being said, events like this acknowledge the excellence and achievement among women and will mark a significant culmination in the events of everyone's lives who are honored here today, so I would like to congratulate all of you on your achievements. I'm a native Iowan, and I grew up in Waterloo. I came to the University of Iowa for undergrad many years ago, and I never left. I was introduced to this University of Iowa community in the summer before my freshman year of college when I joined the Iowa Biosciences Advantage program. This program has existed in many forms since that time, but when I was in the program, it gave undergraduates from underrepresented backgrounds the opportunity to experience research in different forms. It also gave my first experiences as an adult understanding the importance of community. Through the program, I was able to gain experience studying infant rat sleep cycles, collecting data for Quitline, Iowa, and doing genetics research on Alzheimer's disease and preterm birth. My path to research didn't end in those fields, as I'm studying health services research now. And I did obtain 2 degrees here at the university, a BS in psychology and a master's in nursing and healthcare practice, and I'm almost done with my 3rd degree PhD. And I've spanned many colleges in all of that time, from liberal arts and sciences to nursing to public health, and I'm faculty in the College of Medicine. So the long story short of that is I'm well acquainted with this place. My extensive experience has reminded me that There are opportunities available regardless of how they show up to people across different beliefs, geographies, backgrounds, and the goal of this place has been for people to become their best. As stated earlier, I am a certified nurse midwife, and the word midwife means with woman, so I'm honored to be here with all of you today. The calling to be with women throughout their lifetime drives the profession as we care for people from their teen years past menopause. Historically in the US and presently internationally, midwives have been community fixtures that maintain the health of pregnant people, babies, and families. Midwifery is known for honoring normal physiologic birth and identifying when interventions are needed. As I do when I'm working with my patients, I extend my support and expertise to help you make informed decisions about your life in this difficult time. Midwives have a tendency to put things in context of pregnancy and birth. When we begin working towards developing and implementing our midwifery education program, we would often speak of things in terms of conception, pregnancy discomforts, labor, and birth. The conception was when we started developing the program. The discomforts were the growing pains of implementing something new. The labor was working with our first cohort of students, and we'll be birthing them into the world next month as they graduate. What we are facing right now is a hard labor. As many of my patients do, we came into this moment with a plan. You can ask anyone who works in the birth setting about how unpredictable labor is. While we can do our best to honor and apply our intended birth plan for a labor, sometimes we need to adjust our approach. For many reasons, external and internal, our ability right now to have a quick labor without intervention is in peril. When this happens in labor, we take stock of the conditions, expand our situational awareness and self-awareness, and develop a plan to get the labor back on track. Two things that are often needed are rest and more oxytocin. The Midwestern way is entrenched in hard work, which is a pillar of the culture. I know this is difficult to change, but in times like this, we need to remember that rest is resistance. Oxytocin is a key hormone in labor and birth, causing the uterus to contract, precipitating the physiologic changes that lead to birth. It's important for other physiologic and social functions like nurturing an infant through lactation, reducing stress and anxiety, relieving pain, creating feelings of safety and security, lowering your blood pressure, and protecting our hearts. It's also responsible for bonding in romantic relationships and friendships, developing trust and pleasure, of course. We also attribute it to things like empathy, developing memories, and many people know it as the love hormone. And what we need right now is more oxytocin. At this moment, nurturing and caring for each other in a time where burnout is prominent is a critical step we can all take. Please raise your hand if you don't feel the need to reduce stress and anxiety. While extending trust and empathy to others, remember to extend the same to yourself. We cannot forget what is happening right now and documenting not only the events of the day, but also how we persevered through them and found creative and innovative approaches to keep our work going. And staying in community with one another will be an invaluable resource for others as future generations face similar obstacles. Fortifying friendships and relationships that fulfill you and letting go of those that extract too much energy is another thing that we can do in times like this. My friend Beth Livingston spoke at this event last year about sisterhood, which we should stand firmly in right now. Reproductive justice is an applicable human rights framework to apply to this moment in time. Most people who are familiar with reproductive justice know the main tenets. This includes the right to have children, the right not to have children, and the right to bodily autonomy. Less talked about tenets include raising children in safe and sustainable communities, living a life grounded in justice and joy, and having the capacity to make choices about who we receive care from for reproductive health. I want to name that the conditions we are currently living in are a threat to reproductive justice in all of its manifestations. So what can we do in the face of a difficult labor? We can lead with love. Leadership in a traditional sense can be transactional and authoritarian, but at this moment, it requires us to lead with love. Love is lost in leadership. Fostering collaboration across our silos and caring for each other are ways we can show love and leadership. Recognition of the collective strength we all possess and harness is love and leadership. Taking responsibility for our collective well-being is love and leadership. Midwifery wisdom suggests that the best way to support a healthy labor and birth is to foster an environment that diminishes stress and fear. We often speak of the fear, tension, pain cycle that can deter normal birth. Let us all take stock of the situation and enhance our own self-awareness, and continue to use our innate skills that bring us joy and allow us to thrive under any circumstances as we're planning for the future. In times like these, lean into love and promote an environment where we can flourish. We cannot be driven by fear. In closing, we are taking time to acknowledge the excellence and achievements among women this afternoon. I'm proud to stand by all of you and encourage you to remember the wisdom and excellence we all possess as individuals and collectively. I will end by asking, what do achievement and excellence look like in the foreseeable future? I think it will look a little bit different than what we're accustomed to. First, radical care, caring for yourself and your community. Love is not a passive activity. As we continue to pursue liberation, we cannot forget those who have the privilege of being part of our University of Iowa community and those who don't. This is where our broader situational awareness comes into play. It is also important to name that there is wisdom in communities outside of the university that have dealt with adversity throughout their lives, and the lessons that they have can be helpful for us in this time. Consider how we can find pleasure and joy inside and outside of our work. We have to be intentional. Resource constraints are present, but we have abundant, untapped potential. Be intentional about showing love, leveraging our power, and expanding our energy. Celebrate small wins, harness your creativity, and find joy in your daily life. We'll have to focus on resilience. Traditionally, we think of resilience in terms of self-care, and I don't know about you all, but I really love some self-care. You can do all the yoga, the pedicures, the juice cleanses, all those things that you want. But one of the most important and impactful shifts that I've had, most recently through my graduate education, is shifting from viewing resilience as kind of the traditional sense of how we do these really individual self-care things to how we're actually recovering from harm in all of its forms. It's critical that you identify the harm that you face and develop approaches to mitigate it. Determining the harms we can mitigate collectively is also an area that we can pursue together. Lastly, we have to remember history. We've been here before. Don't abandon the future to despair. Record your story so it can be told one day. Be remembered for your commitment to courage in this moment. Just like our survival as a species depends on oxytocin, our ability to preserve depends on love. Just like resting, love is also resistance. My call to action is to stand in solidarity with one another, intentionally creating spaces where we feel supported and cared for, leading with love over fear. Thank you.
Speaking of preserving our stories, if anyone has stories that they would like to donate to the Iowa Women's Archives, they would be happy to have your papers, your artifacts, your personal testimony in the collection. Everyone's stories are important. We're going to begin here with the program awards and recognition with a series of presentations from Gender, Women's, and Sexuality Studies from the faculty there, and I know there's been some changes, so I'm going to invite you to come up and introduce yourselves. Present these awards.
Hello everyone, I'm Heo Che, Department Chair of the Department of Gender, Women's and Sexuality Studies. I'm very pleased to present Stephen Lynn Smith Memorial Scholarship for Social Justice Awards this year. Stephen Lynn Smith was born and raised in Iowa and studied engineering at the university. He embraced the civil rights movement, participating in Freedom Summer to help register African Americans in Mississippi to vote, and led an 8-day hunger strike in Iowa City in support of civil rights workers in Selma, Alabama. As an anti-war activist, he was the first person in the country to burn his draft card on the university campus. The Smith Memorial Scholarship is awarded to graduate or undergrad students who have demonstrated their commitment to the principles of social justice and progress. We have two recipients of this award this year. One is Nastasia Juarez, and the other is Ayman Hamid. First, Nastasia Juarez from Cicero, Illinois, is pursuing a bachelor's degree in enterprise leadership and a minor in social justice from the Department of Gender, Women's and Sexuality Studies. She understands these combined disciplinary interests as a way to connect advocacy and leadership, enabling her not only address systematic barriers, but also create innovative solutions for the communities she wants to serve. Nastasia has been involved in community service throughout her life. She has interned as a health ambassador with the Cicero Community Collective, served as a communications director for the local branch of Habitat for Humanity, and worked as a social media intern with the Sisters of Color Ending Sexual Assault. Nastasia's accomplishments are well summarized by one of her commanders, quote, Nastasia is able to see a person as their full self, with the identities, histories, and circumstances that have impacted them, understanding that no aspect of social justice stands alone, unquote. Congratulations.
Are they big? Yes, you can go up and say thank you.
Sorry. These feet or?
Look, it's been a while.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm so honored to receive the Stephen Smith Memorial Scholarship for Social Justice. I never imagined that I'd be recognized for using my story to create change. Through my work with organizations like We Testify, the Turnaway Project, and Emily's List, I've embraced storytelling and digital advocacy within a reproductive justice framework, centering equity, autonomy, and community. Thank you to everyone who supports me in my everyday work. Thank you to the GRIS department, my family, and my friends. This scholarship brings me one step closer to building something that creates lasting change. Thank you so much.
The next recipient, Ayman Hamid from Lahore, Pakistan, is working toward a graduate degree in interdisciplinary studies with an emphasis on educational leadership, College of Education. Is also completing a graduate certificate in the Department of Gender, Women's and Sexuality Studies. One of the recommenders want to share the following words. Quote, she earned every moment of this celebration and this award. She is an exceptional student, one who has pivoted on numerous occasions to jump over the many obstacles put in front of her. Her concern for various campus communities shows advocacy and work among international students across campus. Her generosity, consideration, and care have moved so many of our students, unquote. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy thunderstorm day. I spent a while doing my hair and they were just gone the minute I stepped out. So if I look like Hagrid, that's probably why. I am truly honored and deeply grateful to everyone here for selecting me for this Stephen Lynn Memorial Scholarship. The scholarship represents more than just financial support for me. It is a reaffirmation of my dedication to making a meaningful impact in education and our society. This award will not just allow me to continue my doctoral studies here at Iowa, but also further my advocacy for fairness and opportunity in education. I am so committed to honoring this legacy of Stephen Lynn with me. Thank you for believing in me and my mission and for supporting me as I continue down this path. I would like to obviously thank all of my professors and advisors without whom I would not be here today. Professor Heidi, Professor Murillo, Professor Anidata, and Professor McMillan and Professor Haywall here, and the amazing Department of Quiz. I say this every year, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say this, but it's true, so I'm just gonna say it again. Not everyone gets to wake up and be excited to go to work, and I get to do that because of this amazing department, and I'm so grateful for that. I would also obviously like to thank my family, my parents, my mom and my brother who were up right now in Pakistan at 2 a.m. They were hoping to get a live stream link, but it's not happening this year, so I'm just gonna send them the video. And lastly but not least, my amazing friends who are here with me. And yeah, thank you everyone, and have a great day. Thank you.
I'm also very pleased to present Christine Licky Memorial Scholarship Awards today, this year. Chris Licky was an Iowa undergrad student 1 month away from graduating with a minor in women's studies when a serious car accident changed the course of her life. In her memory, the Licky family has endowed a scholarship to be awarded annually to undergrad students majoring in gender, women's, and sexuality studies. We have 2 winners this year for Licky Memorial Scholarship. The first, Jordan Wu Welch from Port Byron, Illinois, is pursuing a double major in social justice and philosophy with a minor in psychology and certificate in human rights. Jordan is deeply committed to advocacy and legal justice, particularly in women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and refugee and immigration support. She has demonstrated profound dedication to social justice inside and outside the classroom. As one of our recommenders note, quote, Jordan is a brilliant, determined, and compassionate scholar whose commitment to justice and human rights is inspiring, unquote. Her academic work and activism honor Christine Licky's legacy of advocating for gender equality and social change. Jordan?
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Oh, it's so hot in here, so I'll try to keep it pretty brief. I'm honored to receive the Kristen Lipke Scholarship and want to express my gratitude to the Scholarship Committee, the Lipke family for their donations, and the GWIS and Social Justice Departments for their support. I do want to thank all my mentors, especially Professor Natalie Fixmer-Orais and Professor Christopher Rishi McMillan for writing me those letters of recommendation and for mentoring me throughout this process. I also want to thank my family for coming and supporting me today, and I also want to thank my friends for being patient with me and showing their love for my passion, because this is a big passion I care about, and it takes a lot of energy from you. And I also want to thank my peers and professors and the department as a whole who have guided me throughout my educational journey. Social justice has been the core of my passion since I was young, influenced by my family, friends, teachers, coaches. I have always been engaged in political issues and women's rights advocacy. My freshman year, I took the Theories of Social Justice class with Professor Asha Bandari out of interest, but the class opened my eyes to deep power dynamics and systemic inequalities that shape our society. My interest grew into a double major now that I have in social justice and philosophy. My education has continued to fuel my commitment to advocacy in the pursuit of a just society, which we are all here today putting our work to that as well. As I prepare for my gap year after graduation next spring, this funding will help equip me with resources and tools necessary for my future career and my ongoing fight for social change. My advocacy I've learned to engage in throughout my education shows through my commitment to reproductive justice as well. And my final project last semester with Professor Fixmer-Orais constituted a group effort to create a reproductive justice campaign. And we're going through the works now of finalizing that campaign, and we're going to be giving out flyers to the community, providing resources and information for reproductive health care. And now more than ever, this line of work, advocacy, is crucial. My passion continues to grow, and social justice work and advocacy is important in this political climate. I look forward to furthering my education and passion with social justice and human rights. Thanks again for your time and this incredible honor.
The next winner is Elizabeth Edwards. She's from Woodbury, Minnesota. She's a second-year undergraduate student pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Nursing with a double focus on gender, women's, and sexuality studies. Her academic path reflects a powerful commitment to advocating for gender equity in healthcare. Through both her coursework and the personal experiences, Elizabeth has identified ongoing disparities in women's healthcare and aims to challenge systematic biases within medical institutions. In her studies, Elizabeth has combined nursing with social justice, taking courses that have deepened her understanding of gender-based health disparities. She is particularly focused on addressing the dismissal of women's pain in medical settings and the lack of reproductive health care access. Her advocacy work seeks to educate healthcare providers about inclusive, patient-centered care, particularly for queer and transgender women who face additional barriers in the healthcare system. Elizabeth's academic achievements are reflected in her strong GPA and consistent placement on the Dean's List. She plans to continue her education to become a nurse practitioner and work in LGBTQ+ healthcare clinics to provide affirming medical care and advocate for rights of all women, regardless of their gender identity, race, or socioeconomic status. Congratulations.
Okay, and now I'm shorter, so I gotta lower the mic a little bit here. So I just wanted to thank everyone in the GWIS department, as well as the staff and faculty that have guided me throughout my education so far here at the University of Iowa. I also just wanted to say that I came back from a research conference this last week, and there are still researchers out there pursuing LGBT healthcare, women's health, and all of these things, even though they might be trying to cover it up in the news and we might not have as much funding anymore. These things are still happening and people are still advocating for them. Specifically, I also wanted to highlight that this past week, Trans Visibility Day, that is not just one day, that is the whole year, and that we need to continue to fight for that, especially right now as many trans women are being erased from history, removing from Stonewall, and that we just need to continue to educate and advocate for these women in our community. So thank you again, I'm extremely honored for the scholarship.
Hi everyone, I'm Teresa Mangum. I am a professor emeritus in departments of WIS and English, but I just won't go away. So, I also just want to quickly say that as I'm sitting here celebrating with all of you, I'm also grieving. I was watching the screens and seeing the end of the Council on the Status of Women, the end of RBAP. These are organizations that made this an incredibly special place to work and gave me such belief and confidence in the university. So next year, if this event is imperiled, I have a really big living room. Y'all come on I'm delighted to be be awarding the Jane Weiss Award to Orient D'Angelo. And I wanted to just say a couple of words about the scholarship, especially since we may not be hearing about it in public in the future. In 1982, the University of Iowa held the first celebration, as Lori said, of academic excellence among women to present just two awards, the Jane A. Weiss Award and the Catherine Orne Memorial Scholarship. Beginning in 1978, Jane Weiss was a professor in both sociology and what was then called women's studies. She devoted herself to the study of women's issues in the classroom and community until her untimely death in 1981 at the heartbreakingly young age of 37. To honor Jane's memory, friends, colleagues, and family members banded together to establish a scholarship fund to honor one doctoral student each year whose dissertation promises to be groundbreaking work about and in the service of women. I met this year's awardee, Oriette D'Angelo, in the fall of 2023. Though Oriette is a PhD student in Spanish and Portuguese, she asked to join my WIS undergraduate class for the semester called Working for Social Justice. It's a class that helps our students connect what they're learning in their classes with future careers. Little did I know what a gift Oriette would be to me and to her classmates. She became almost an informal teaching assistant, generously offering astute advice to students during small group work sessions. Perhaps even more importantly, she constantly taught them by example the importance of moving forward with a strong sense of purpose that includes others through her class participation, her collaborative spirit, and her brave, risk-taking approach to class discussions, her research, and her leadership. Oriette has received already an MFA in the University of Iowa's Creative Writing Program in Spanish, in the Spanish department, an MA in Digital Communications and Media Arts from DePaul University, and a law degree from Venezuela. Oriette's research interests are wide-ranging and driven by her sense of social justice, her vocation as a poet, and her passionate scholarly advocacy for women writers. Her dissertation, titled Trauma Fiction in Contemporary Latin American Narratives, featuring the work of 4 women writers, looks at generational trauma in contemporary Latin American novels. She's especially compelled by women novelists whose experimental style demands attention for those living in an authoritarian country, in which political, physical, sexual, and psychological violence have all become normalized. Each of her chapters considers how a woman writer gives voice to childhood memory, grief, and political violence. Already, Oriette has an impressive record as a scholar, editor, and poet. Her award-winning volume of poetry, Cardiopatias, was translated into English under the title Homeland of Swarms recently. In addition, despite an incredibly busy schedule of writing, research, teaching, mentoring, editing, Oriette lives out her values as an activist by playing an important role in community organizations. She's been especially active here in Iowa City in the Compassion Immigrant Resource Center, an organization that supports hundreds of Latina children, Latino and Latinx children, and families in Iowa City. We're so fortunate that Oriette brought her talents, energy, creativity, and organizational magic to Iowa City. And she absolutely embodies the spirit of the Jean Weiss Award. Congratulations.
I told myself that I was not gonna cry, so I'm gonna try to be very brief. Thank you so much for that introduction. For me, it's an honor to be here. I just want to say that I'm an immigrant. I'm a Venezuelan immigrant, and what's happening right now to us Venezuelan citizens is very scary. And we're being persecuted and we're being targeted only because we are Venezuelans and we are trying to find a good life in this country. I've been in the United States for 10 years now and 6 years in Iowa City, and I consider this place my home. So being targeted only because I'm Venezuelan has been especially difficult in the past 3 months. And I particularly am having an immigration status problem, and I don't know if I'm gonna be here in the fall. I hope everything resolves, but at the same time, I didn't wanna lose this opportunity to say that it's very unfair that we are being targeted, and spaces like these are hope for us. And give us strength and energy, and I'm very, very grateful that this space exists and it's gonna keep existing in Teresa's living room or in the parks or outside or in the streets. We are not a place, we are a movement, and we're gonna keep doing this no matter where. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much for that. Kind of hard to follow that story. I'll do that by just making an announcement, because that's easy, that for all of the recipients, we will gather at the end of the program for a group picture. So I will call you back up before we stop this year, so that we can get you get the history made and allow you to then go and celebrate with your communities. Our next, and then also another announcement, I point out that there's a code on the back of your program and lying around in various tables around here that will let you give us feedback if you are interested in giving us feedback on this. And maybe it'll help us track you down to give you Teresa's address for next year. We're all looking forward to seeing that. Our next presentation is the Jean Ju Women's Rights Award, and this award was established in 1992 after Dr. Jean Ju's long and arduous lawsuit against the university after having experienced extremely egregious harassment from her male colleagues in the anatomy department. Now, while the university had policies in place that should have protected her, even that long ago, it chose to ignore them. Because as Dr. Lord has said, the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They're coming for us now. Hold on. Calling up the ancestors. Dr. Ju had to sue the university, which fought her at every step until she won her final appeal before they backed down and took their lumps. This award serves to remind us that progress comes with the price. Jean paid a considerable price to take the university on, and eventually the university, complicit with the abusers, paid a price for their complicity. While victories like that are rare, they do sometimes happen. Part of the reason I tell this story whenever I get a chance is to remind us that they do sometimes happen, but they don't happen unless someone has the backbone to stand up and fight the system. Jean had that backbone, and we take this time every year to remind ourselves and this university, this year more than ever, what that looks like. And especially to remind us that the system is not designed to protect us, so we need to stand for ourselves and for each other. So the latest amazing recipient of the Jean Ju Women's Rights Awards will be presented by Marie Krebs.
Good afternoon. It is an incredible honor to be here. I am one of Professor, I might get emotional too. I am one of Professor Spears' students. If it wasn't for Professor Spears, I probably wouldn't have made it as far as I have. And I'm sure there are plenty of students in the audience who can say the same thing. So it is an absolute honor to stand here. So my plan was to highlight some of her accomplishments. But I don't think Professor Spears sleeps. I've got a couple of pages of things she's done just in the classroom here at the School of Social Work. We've got publications, we've got awards. This woman is on someone's national stage 2 to 3 times a year. I've got regional, local, what is she not doing? Keynote speaker, panels. I don't know what to highlight. But I do want to say that in all seriousness, she has done all of this while navigating the extra labor and obstacles of being a BIPOC woman in spaces that are not designed for us. And yet, she's made her way. She stood strong. And not only that, she's reached her hand back for us, for those behind her, for those who are coming up. She didn't forget about us. She stands strong in the face of all of that and then comes for us. And so that is why it's an honor to be here today. I think Jinju would be very happy to know that this phenomenal woman is receiving an award and her legacy. Some of the things that come to my mind when I think of Professor Spears are resilience, strength, passion, and brilliance. And that is why it is an honor to present this award to this amazing woman.
I'd like to thank my family who's here, my friends, some colleagues. I'm emotional right now. I'd like to thank the nominating committee, and I'd like to thank my nominator, Latasha Deloach. She's not here today. Fellow social worker, a friend, a confidant, and when necessary, a co-conspirator. Always need to have one of those in my pocket. I received this news while grappling with the University of Iowa's decision to dismantle, erase, close, and cancel various programs and initiatives rather than making the intentional choice to affirm and stand tall and support. For example, 3 identity-based living learning communities that support Latinx, LGBTQ plus students, and young, gifted, and Black students. The vision of access and opportunity and diversity is gone. The university's decision to no longer recognize the following councils: Pan-Asian, Latinx, disability awareness, veterans and military, Native American populations, LGBTQ+, African American Council, and the Council on the Status of Women. The Council on the Status of Women is a co-supporter of this award for Dr. Yu, whose perseverance and commitment in the face of injustice. If we just take a moment and find ourselves to think, who is at face? Who is doing the injustice? It was people like their colleagues, administrators. They led to the establishment of the award in her honor. I find that weird. This award is given to those who demonstrate outstanding efforts and achievements in improving the status of women on campus. Dr. Ju's years of hostile treatment, gaslighting, discrimination, oppression, and sexual and racial harassment have come to symbolize a broader history of injustice that we just continue to revisit. These spaces were places of refuge and support and rest for many of us, places where we can find solidarity with others who sought the same. Sadly, these spaces are no longer part of that fabric of the University of Iowa, and I have come to realize that I work and I live in spaces that I no longer recognize. And this has been a difficult realization to grapple with. We must also grapple with the dehumanizing laws, policies, and inaction as a part of our shared painful history. Rather than a particular marginalized group's history, it's our shared history. I implore you to read the harrowing experiences of Dr. Ju and her lawyer in their book. Take a moment to read Dr. Martin Luther King, Letter from Birmingham Jail, or listen to him speak his own words on your supercomputer that you all have in your hand, okay? And then make more time to reflect on the following quotes. One has not only a legal but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. He also said, quote, "Let me offer another example. A law is unjust if it is imposed on a minority who, as a result of being denied the right to vote, had no role in enacting or devising that law. The truth that I also have to grapple with is my mother didn't have a right to vote when my siblings and I were born. Well, when my siblings were born. As a grown woman, she was still deprived of this right. The same woman who called everyone honey, baby, and sugar was born and raised in a predominantly black community in Yazoo City, Mississippi, worried about me, as I say, the youngest in the family, if you haven't already guessed, me. I was born and raised and educated in a predominantly black community of Harvey, Illinois, and became the first in my family to be accepted into a four-year institution. My mother's concern was clear when she had so many first moments together with me, including our first visit to Iowa City. She looked around and exclaimed, "Oh my goodness, Lordy, there's so many white people here." And yes, there were, there are. So many, in fact, that I could go a long time without seeing another black person. It wasn't until I had my own children, my own black children, that I began to see black people every day, intentionally. They never left me. This makes it all the more demoralizing to witness what's happening on campus and in our state. Despite all the atrocities, I continue to learn, love, and grow in the community with others on my block, in the community of Iowa City, the university, and across the state of Iowa. The final thought I'm grappling with is that I'm the first black woman to receive this award. And it may also be the last, as we've heard. I'm walking through a door, and in a sense, I'm closing it behind me. And I never thought that I would be that black woman. Yet here I stand, experiencing multiple moments of erasure carried out by people who claim to be my neighbors and my colleagues. Thank you for listening to my reflections, and I'm gonna leave you with two important quotes. Why? Because I'm a teacher. One is attributed to Fannie Lou Hamer, "Nobody's free until everybody's free." And the other one from Zora Neale Hurston, "If you're silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it." Okay.
Pretty sure it won't be the last time. So our next award is going to be the May Broadbeck Distinguished Achievement Award for Faculty, presented by Brian Blank. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. As I said, I'm Brian Lai. I'm the chair of the Political Science Department and a colleague of Sarah's for quite some time now. As many of you know, May Broadbeck greatly improved the status of faculty and women on campus. She was one of the founders of the Council on the Status of Women, having had a distinguished career as a philosophy faculty member and then as a vice president at the University of Iowa. In that mold, Sarah has similarly been an incredible scholar in the field of political science, being one of the most recognized scholars in international conflict, an area that Sarah and I both share. She has been recognized by many of our professional associations with career awards. I will note Sarah's not that old. She's not the end of her career. She still has a lot. She's still publishing quite prolifically. Having been chair for quite some time, I can tell you when we do annual reviews, it is quite shocking at how consistently Sarah publishes at a high volume. Having said that, she also has been a leader in promoting the cause of women in our field. Sarah was one of the first people to really try to do something about what she calls the leaky pipeline of women leaving the academy throughout their careers at different stages. So she founded 2 different organizations in our discipline that aim to bring women together to talk about those challenges they face, as well as support their research endeavors. Both of those have now had cohort, probably over 100 women have gone through each of those programs, and I can say that many of them now have stayed in academia, have now gone on to support other women in the field. Sarah's impact has not just been on our field, but in our department as well. When Sarah started our program, we had probably about 20% of our faculty were women. Today, we are 50% of our faculty are women. Now that's not just Sarah, but part of that is Sarah helping us move through implicit approaches we took to hiring that made it a more equal process, and I would say a better process. It also involved Sarah's ability to recruit women to come to Iowa despite, before I started Iowa, our department having a reputation for not being such a great place for women to work. That I believe has changed quite a bit, and a lot of it due to the leadership of Sarah over the years. Sarah is also one of our most prolific mentors of students in our department. She has, since she got here, she has mentored the highest number of PhD students in our program. She has been not only a mentor, but a role model for women in our field. Students come to Iowa to work with Sarah, not just because of her scholarship, because of her advocacy for them, and for their understanding of what she is as a role model and how she supports her students. I have seen this firsthand, being co-chair with Sarah on committees and seeing her work with students. She is a phenomenal mentor and has been recognized by university by the Graduate College as with the Mentor Award. She's been recognized for a teaching award from the College of Arts and Sciences. Sarah is that faculty member who not only is an outstanding researcher, devotes herself to service to the department as well as the profession and the university, but also cares deeply for her students. As I was joking, I was trying to catch Sarah today to tell her that I had to come after class so I wouldn't be here right at 3:30, but I couldn't get in because she was meeting with students throughout the day. So with that, I'd like to just say congratulations, Sarah, on this well-deserved award.
You were talking about leading by love, and Brian is definitely the model of that. He's the most caring department chair I've ever had the privilege to work with, and not just takes care of nominating me for this award, but takes care of all of our students and our faculty. So thank you very much. We need male allies in this process, right? To be there for us. I am a first generation person from Iowa. I grew up on a farm in Iowa. I went to Iowa State. The first class I took in international relations was taught by a female faculty member, and she really inspired me. I had the privilege to have many women who were mentors to me throughout my career, and yet as a person who studied war, I would show up at a conference, there would be 100 people there, and there would maybe be 6 women when I was first going to conferences. And so I think part of my activism in promoting women in the field was just sort of wondering, where are all the women? And then noticing women were leaving those spaces because they were not getting the support that they needed in academia. Because I also do quantitative research, I started collecting data on, do women get paid less than men? At least in political science, the answer is yes. Does women's work get cited less than men's work? Yes, it does. Do women have a more difficult time getting promoted to associate professor and full professor? The answer is yes. So I've devoted part of my research to identifying gendered problems in academia and trying to raise awareness. I also showed in one piece that women are more likely to be asked to do service, and they agree to do service more often. So women spend more time as mentoring students, preparing for class, things like this. And so I was happy one time somebody said they read the paper I published on service burdens, and they said, we have restructured our department service load so that women are not taking on extra service. And so I feel really good. And another maybe positive story here, in Canada, there was a university that took our study on salaries, and they actually negotiated a $3,000 pay increase for all women on campus. And so in addition to, I'm so inspired by all the stories I've heard here, but I also want to say that for people like me who have skills for collecting and analyzing data, I think it's important to show the systematic patterns of bias that exist so that we can do a better job of addressing those and changing things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you both. And we have one final award to be given out tonight at the Sue Buckley Distinguished Achievement Award for Staff. Sue Buckley, no, DeBuck, to most of us. Still no, we're just still here. But I was a longtime member of this committee, and actually my first boss on the campus of the University of Iowa when I was a work study student at the Women's Center, and Buckley was still a director. And what was the first Jean Jew Award winner, and also was the spearheaded the Jean Jew Defense Committee? Justice Committee, thank you. That put pressure on the university to back off, and also as part of Jean's the decision that what the university had to do is they had to distribute a copy of the judge's decision to every faculty and staff on campus. So everybody got a chance to read the really horrific details of what had happened to her. And if you haven't, most of us weren't here then when those were distributed, but if you read the book that Yolanda referenced, the details will be there. And actually, she and her lawyer are speaking at the hospital next week on the 10th, is it? It's tomorrow.
It's Boyd Law next Thursday.
Next Thursday at the hospital, they're gonna tell the story, so you can find it somewhere online, I'm sure. Anyway, gone on a little too long about that, but Bob McMurray is here, there's Bob, to present the Sue Buckley Award to Jamie Klein.
Thanks. This is a really inspiring event, and I kind of feel like the wrong person to be here. But I'm incredibly gratified to be able to present this award to Jamie. Jamie's worked with me for 10 years, and from the outside, if you asked around PBS, my department, Psychological and Brain Sciences, oh, who's Jamie Klein? Oh, she's a lab manager. That's the kind of position that's so easy to dismiss. You're like, oh, okay, then you ask HR. Well, she's funded on an NIH grant as a research associate. You know, her jobs are just to do this NIH grant. Well, wait a second. NIH grants are not a given anymore, right? And the thing is, Jamie doesn't do any of that. Jamie does her job. She coordinates the lab. She runs this grant. But she does so much more that adds such incredible value to the university. I work on language development, really simple, basic stuff. When I came here, we studied how people discriminate "but" and "puh." Very, very boring. I'm the first to admit it. With Jamie's partnership over the last 10 years, we've expanded. We've done clinical trials of reading interventions in the schools. We've expanded. We found 280 kids for the last 5 years. We built a lab in Cedar Rapids, a whole new lab that Jamie helped us build to reach a more diverse audience. And it's her competency, her ability to manage these massive projects that means what my lab does is so much more than what my lab does. We support numerous other labs who now use that facility. We create data sets that the field is going to benefit from years and that my students have benefited from years. It's more than just running the lab. It's building something of lasting intellectual value. But Jamie doesn't just do research. As all the faculty know, but maybe people don't know, any lab is not just a place to generate scientific ideas and write papers. It's a place to teach and to form young people and to mentor. And the mission of any lab should be to do that. And with Jamie's partnership over the last decade, my lab has done far more than is possible. She has personally mentored dozens of undergraduates who went on to graduate school at places like Princeton. She has mentored my graduate students, many of them who are on faculty now. I would say 2/3 of the people through my lab have been young women who are making the way in a field of cognitive science that is not always amenable to women. And Jamie's personal support, doing the hard work of connecting with students and young scientists one-on-one, and doing what one can to make them succeed, is what has made them succeed. And because of that, I feel like her impact is more than just managing a lab. It's more than just creating some data or collecting some data, processing the paperwork, right? She's made a difference on campus, and from a position that's not always easy to see. And so I'm very, very proud and very, very grateful to have this opportunity to recognize Jamie Klampacker for her amazing work.
Hello. I am very honored to receive this award, and I have been just humbled and inspired sitting here and hearing about all these stories of women of the past, some of whom I knew a little bit about, but so many that I just didn't know, and I'm very excited now to learn more about. And also thank you to all of you for sharing your stories. That has also been very inspiring and humbling. I want to thank Dr. McMurray,
Call me that.
Bob, for nominating me and for trusting me to do the work that I do, which is, as he said, sometimes a little bit out of the scope of the specific job title. I really, really appreciate that, and thank you to the PBSB department and to the members of the Mac Lab, the lab that I'm a part of. Thank you so much for being here and for just for your support. I have worked with many amazing female scientists, especially, early career female scientists through my time in the lab. And I just want to shout out in particular Tanya Brumka, Effie Capnula, and Sneh Javeri as women who just really, I guess, had confidence in me and in the work I was doing, and believed in me as a scientist in addition to a lab manager. And I really love doing the work that I do. Thank you again for this award, and thank you.
Don't go anywhere. I want all of today's recipients to come forward at this time. We always lose you before this is over, so I'm going to make you come up as a group. So we've been talking today about our ancestors, on whose shoulders we stood to get here today, and we've been hearing the stories of the people whose present and our present and our future is in their hands. So let's have a warm round of applause for all of these folks. And before the celebration, I am reminded of the much quoted words of Dr. Martin Luther King. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But I would ask you to keep in mind, especially knowing the stories that we have heard here today, that it doesn't arc without our help.
That's right.
That we will not find justice if we don't participate in the process of shaping that arc as we go. We are the ones who pull it toward justice. We're the ones. These are the ones. All of you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. believe there may be some to-go containers left over there. We do that, we started doing that because it frequently falls on Ramadan. I know that it doesn't this year, but we still have the containers. So I especially encourage, are my students still around? Grab some food on your way out, and we'll have our team picture here if the photographer is ready. So thank you all for being